And we are live, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Welcome. Good morning. And welcome to another installment of my not so daily vlog, but it was a daily vlog for a while called The Dirty Work, where I really discuss the everyday happenings of an entrepreneur or of an ENTP personality type between the successes and failures, right? So it's really to give the public an idea of what sort of work we put in to be successful, or maybe not. And it's to kind of demystify or take out the glory of the accolades that some entrepreneurs have when they are successful, right? I really don't like the idea of social media being nothing about or all about pushing this narrative that I'm always winning. It's not the reality. And there's a lot that goes on in the life of entrepreneurs and successful people that the public doesn't get to see. And our media tends to promote the achievements, right? Or the abysmal failures when those happen. But everything in between is really the most constructive work and really the where you could learn from. So I try to cover some of that backstory, some of that in between the highlights. Okay, so that's what this vlog is about and why I do it from time to time. Because I am an ENTP personality type and I really don't like routines, it's hard for me to do this daily. But when I do feel up to it or inspired or feel good, then I do it. And maybe for a few days, maybe for one day, pop, 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 pop. That's just the way that it is. So the format of this is I usually start with the tip of the day, and then I kind of go into what my day is going to look like, and then potentially address any questions that may arise. Try to keep it less than 15 minutes, so it's nice and quick, just conversation check-in. Okay, so the tip of the day kind of relates to my post that's out on my Instagram that says something to the effect of you can activate anything in your life. And actually, my friend Paulina texted me in the morning that said, that kind of rang through to her today. And what I mean by that is when I last year around this time, I went to Peru for a ayahuasca ritual. Too long to explain, but in that ritual, I got a sense of kind of like infinite knowledge, if you want to put it that way. It sounds crazy, I know, but I realized that everything in the world, including your entire existence, was a matter of you willing yourself to activate this thing that we're calling life. It's the spontaneity of cell division, or actually first fertilization, cell division, guiding that process, existing up until this point or whatever point you exist to, and then you dissolve back into the universe and kind of do it all over again and kind of shift through dimensions, whatever. That was my experience. But what I realized from that is that life itself is a matter of what we choose to bring into it. The people that you bring into your life, the decisions that you make, the jobs that you take, what you study, what you eat, who you love, what you love, are all activated by you. The energy you bring into your life is unfortunately activated by you, whether it's positive or negative. You're inviting that, you're activating it, you're bringing it to you. Even, it may sound crazy, but even acts of violence, acts of oppression, acts of whatever, it's kind of what you chose to have in your life as you chose the life that you chose, right? If you're thinking about it from the perspective of you brought yourself into existence at some point, then all the outcomes or all the byproducts of your existence were kind of manufactured by you for you to learn and feel something that you may have not felt before. But that's kind of getting into like, some really abstract thought. But what does this mean for you in your business life and your social life and your love life? It means that you literally can go out there and shake up the world that you're in. And you could do this by, first, an example is maybe approaching somebody that you're interested in. as a lover or whatever. This may be calling on a, I don't know, on a business lead that you think you can land. You'll never land it, whether it's the person that you're pursuing, the love interest, or the business opportunity, if you don't take the necessary action to even try to bring that person into existence in your life. Let's just say it's a girl that's sitting across the bar. You find her attractive. You might think to yourself, wow, she's attractive. I wonder what she's thinking. I wonder what she's like. If you just let the thought happen and don't act on that idea, that girl will eventually have a drink, pick up, and most likely walk out your life for the rest of your life. However, if you activate her by engaging her, sending her a drink, talking to her, figuring out who she is, that may turn into a, I don't know, lifelong relationship, can turn into a family. It can turn into a business opportunity. It can turn into a lesson learned about yourself. Okay. Maybe your approach is bad, or maybe you realize that, hey, I miss every shot that I don't take, so I might as well take the shots, right? So that's kind of what I mean by that post, and I think it applies to so much in your life. So whenever you're thinking, hey, I want this for myself, or I wish that this world would change in a way, you honestly can provoke whatever change you want. And I think it's a quality that highly successful people may have, or it's either a quality that they have, or they don't have the same fear that inhibits them from taking the necessary actions. Um, for someone who wants to be Beyonce, for instance, you have to be willing to start singing, start dancing, put yourself on a stage, stick with it. If you don't ever take the necessary steps to become a pop star, you never will. You don't become Steve Jobs. You don't become top tier producers without even thinking that you could do it. A perfect example of this is Kanye West. Everything, not everything, but a lot of the goals that he sets for himself, he achieves by literally taking action towards that with a grandiosity that a lot of people would be like, you can't do it. And he does it. It's the same thing. So the more that you start to activate your life and you have positive feedback from those activations, the more you believe that you can do it and you can shape it and you can really achieve whatever you want. Because one person tells you no doesn't mean the next person doesn't tell you no, and that the person who told you no was just preparation for the person who is going to tell you yes. And that's pretty much it. As far as what I have on my agenda for the day, I'm starting to kind of consolidate all the work that I'm doing, just so I can focus on what is the most profitable. And for me, the two top producers are home healthcare by revenue and real estate by assets under management and control and ownership. So I'm trying to kind of eliminate all the other odds and ends that I do, because they don't have as much value, and they're taking precious time away from the things that I should be focusing on. That, as far as value is concerned, monetary value, those are my top two. And I'm shifting more to focus on kind of satisfying the monetary needs permanently, like achieving ultra high net worth. Just because I don't want to worry about money anymore, think about money anymore. I want to be able to spend the rest of my life trying to activate as much as I can that I believe will bring the most happiness in my life and the lives of people that I love. So I have to kind of get hyper focused for the next 2 to 3 years to hit my goals, rather than kind of pursuing all my interests at the same time. ENTPs understand this. You get to a point where you have 15 possibilities of greatness and you're performing at a D minus, and you realize, what the hell am I doing? And then you you gotta bring it back in. Fortunately for me, as an ENTP, there's been certain things that, out of the maybe dozens of ventures that I've pursued, there are a few that work really well, and that allow me to kind of drift and come back, drift and come back. So I make like steps forward, that if I was hyper focused, I would already be far further along in a certain avenue. But I have the need to kind of move forward, drift for a while, come back together, and drift for a while, come back together, drift. That's my pattern. And if I don't function that way, then I get extremely unhappy for not pursuing the randomness. It's just who I am. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I'm getting out of here. Let me see what we got here. Hello to people who came and went. Libra Curves, good morning. Oh, I'm so clumsy with Instagram. I don't even know how to use this thing. Libra Curves, good morning. What time is it where you are? I am in Florida, and it is 7:55 a.m. Where are you, and what time is it there? And anybody on YouTube, Facebook, any questions, feel free to ask. I know for my for the YouTube audience this time, I don't think makes much sense, because usually my live videos have about 30 simultaneous viewers, and I only have 5, and they're not talking. So living the dream. I always seem to catch you at the last minute, Rose. Yeah, but it happens. At least you're here. Well, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap up for the day. Your YouTube content is awesome. Thank you. Continue to produce more content. I will. The cool thing about my channel is that it's a free space for me. I could do and say whatever the hell I want. I don't feel, because it's mostly about me and my life, and kind of the characterization of an ENTP personality type. So I feel free in doing whatever I want. Obviously, I suffer from the same need to be liked as most human beings. So I tend to try to make content that I think people will react to and enjoy. And then I make content to be continuous with whatever story I've told in the past, just to give people updates. But for the most part, what I bring to the channel is what I enjoy out of life and what I feel I have to share. And that's going to be content that evolves forever, because I'm constantly changing. There's some things about me that are firm, like inability to maintain routines, the ability to see multiple avenues to achieving specific goals, the ability to create. I guess my leaning towards risk and impulsivity. So those things will be continuous, but as far as the subject matter and what I dive into, that's going to change, and then the quality is going to improve over time. So thanks for paying attention, and be well. And Arlie, man, every time I see your name, I remember that I need to follow up with you. I believe I'm actually setting up a demo. There's a few people who've been looking for a demo. I think I'm having a demo day next Wednesday, but I will circle back with you between 9 and 10 a.m. today, if that works, Arlie. Let me know. If between 9 and 10 works, I'll just give you a call, and we could at least get you on the board for the demo for my software, On Time ITS, which is a software that is designed for the home healthcare industry, social adult daycare industry, which is kind of related to home health. and industry agnostic. So it could work for staffing firms, contracting firms, anybody who has a need to track the time and attendance of their staff, and their HR documents. So that's pretty much it. I don't see if there's any other questions here. Good morning. Thanks for sharing. I'm up trying to figure out how I'm going to make the transition from my job to entrepreneurship. Well, good morning, first of all. I think for you to make if that's a question or a request for some help, I would say the first thing, as far as making the shift from, I guess, your job to being self-employed, is that you need to know exactly how much your lifestyle costs you. Right. I think that's the first thing. Yeah, I would say to remove the emotion out of it, try to be objective. Look at, well, how much money do I absolutely need to make to maintain my person, my housing, my food, maybe my childcare, um, utilities, my basic survival. Well, how much does that cost me? And then you have to think about, well, what am I going to do to be self-employed? What industry group am I going to be in? How much do I anticipate making? And start to really to design, well, how you're going to have to approach this venture of yours to replace your income. Do you have to save a bunch of money to make sure that you have some runway? Do you have to raise money again to make sure you have enough funds coming in to support your lifestyle until your business gets to a point where it replaces that income that you're getting from your job? Believe it or not, you'll probably get to the point that you need to get to quickly. But I think it's important for you to really have those numbers down. And then you also don't want to fall into the trap that a lot of self-employed and entrepreneurial people fall into, where you end up making the shift, but you just become a slave to your business, rather than a slave to the job, meaning you start to draw salary income from your business that probably should be going back into the business for growth. Because ideally, in your entrepreneurial venture, you know, this is not an absolute, but in your entrepreneurial venture, you should want to remove being dependent, or the business being dependent on you, and having a team that works with you to sustain your business independent of you. That way you're drawing income, you're drawing a salary, regardless of you, being in a workstation. For a lot of entrepreneurs who kind of get stuck in the small world, the small business world, or the self-employed world, they don't make money unless they're there. And then you end up becoming a slave to the business. The only thing is, the freedom that you have is that you don't have to necessarily answer to a boss, which can be problematic, because if you're not self-regulating and self-aware, you may be running a crappy business, and you may actually there's no one to hold you accountable for performance. And that's why I think a lot of small businesses fail. But I would, if you just rewatch that, I kind of say everything that you need to do. But summary is just make sure you know the numbers of what you need to survive, and then whether or not that venture that you're pursuing is going to allow you to afford that. And if it's going to be incremental, then do both. Keep working your job, and then start on your business, so that you're kind of not taking too much of a leap where you fail, and then you're in not in bad shape, because you could always find a job again, right? But if you fail, you're not panicked. So for some people, taking the full jump is their method, because they like, if I can't fail because I got kids to feed. Sometimes that motivates them to do the right thing. Sometimes people need to have, that balance, or that they can't take, like, I guess, stepping between stones in a river. I don't know what that's called, but they need to have that balance. So figure out what type of person you are and then take the necessary steps. Remember, if you fail at business or in your entrepreneurial conquest, you're not going to die. You're most likely not going to be incarcerated as long as you're doing everything legally. Um, so really, what have you lost? You could probably pick up immediately where you left off. And since you have the experience as an entrepreneur, you're going to definitely get way more knowledge than you had in your job. So you'll probably return to the workforce a little better, a little stronger. And, there's really not much to lose. Let me see if there's any other questions. Good info. Thank you. So 9:30. All right, I'll hit you up at 9:30, Arlie. I'm struggling with the process of establishing an operational system and marketing strategy. Building my team, working in the business instead of the business. Yeah, that's a common mistake, or a common, not mistake, but a common pain point for a lot of entrepreneurs. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to advise you on all that in our phone call. But from time to time, just check in. If we're talking about healthcare staffing, and you have specific questions, and we could have kind of like a strategy call that everybody could benefit from. I don't believe in just directly consulting one person, especially for free. When I have a public platform that other people could benefit from. So if I'm going to have those sort of discussions and not charge somebody, then it's going to be public, and we're going to have this conversation live, so that anybody who's listening and watching can get value out of that. And if it's going to be my personal time, then and I don't do any consulting services now because it takes away from what makes more money for me. Then it's going to have to be public. Okay. I understand, and I've taken notes. Thanks for sharing. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, stay in contact. I'd like to see, even if you come back and, put what is the business that you want to go into. Like sometimes sharing things publicly, like at least for me, helps me to be more accountable and not slack, because I don't want to be perceived by the public as a slacker or a loser or a failure. So by saying, hey, I'm going to do this, me just announcing it puts this pressure on me to not back off. So if that helps you, then share, your dreams, your goals, and your strategy with me in the comment section. When I can reply, I will, just to kind of poke holes at your thought pattern and process, and see if I could strengthen that out for you. As an older person, I would lose time if you fail. There's no such thing as time. Just background for you. Okay, cool. What about your mentorship program? Is that not available anymore? It is. And so Killing the American Dream, investing in 1 to 4 family real estate is available at entplife.com. I only have a group at a time. So right now I'm still with my group from the fall. We have a property that I'm going to be posting here soon. That's listed, and hopefully we should be selling soon. And that process has to close out before I focus on another group, because I have to do weekly calls, manage that group, and it takes time away from me. So I can't have too many groups going on at the same time. That's kind of like a pet project that takes me just a few hours a week, if that. Yeah, short answer is yes. Still plan on doing that, and maybe doing 3 to 4 groups per year. I think a quarter is a good enough time to get through a group. So that's the thought pattern there. So short answer is yes. Rodney, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Signing out. So once again, thank you for joining me here at the Dirty Work. What this is about is the inner workings of an entrepreneurial life and what happens between your successes and failures. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, picking the brains of other entrepreneurs, people sharing their business ideas, their fears, their motivations, etc. This is the sort of sequence that you tune in for. And if that's not your thing, so be it. Take care.